Okay. There we go. All right. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Badger Rugby Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProChargeEV, ProChargeEV.com. Excuse me. Okay, y'all. Really good day for the LSU Tigers. Good weekend so far. Friday night you make the announcement that you've hired Blake Baker as your new defensive coordinator, and then Saturday you get arguably the biggest commitment in the history of the program. Um, Only once before has LSU signed the number one player in the country in the composite rankings, and that, of course, was Leonard Fournette 10 years ago. And you now have a commitment from the number one player in the composite rankings in Bryce Underwood. So, um, just incredible work by this coaching staff. Um, and you know, the thing about Fournette, and look, Leonard was such a must get because we had all heard about Leonard from the time he was in the eighth grade, and he was a kid from New Orleans, and you had to keep him home. Um, you know, but um, he was also a kid from New Orleans who went to St. Aug, and Frank Wilson had such a tie there. And I'm not going to say that was easy by any stretch, but um, you had a sort of natural connection there. This kid's from Michigan. I mean, you you're in Louisiana, and to get a commitment from the number one quarterback, number one player in the country, uh, who is nowhere near your state. I mean, to be from Michigan and to get in there to grind away. Joe Sloan was his primary recruiter, so major hat tip to Joe Sloan here. Joe came to LSU with the reputation of being a really good recruiter. Of course, he'd been at Tech, but his territory at Tech was South Louisiana. So he was recruiting Baton Rouge, New Orleans when he was at Tech. But I mean, it's incredible. And not only with Underwood, who he's a 2025 player. So you're talking about a guy who's a high school junior right now. He's going into the last semester of his junior, so he's got another season of high school. But this is a guy who's 6'3" and a half, already 205 pounds. Consensus number one player in the country. Not only number one quarterback, number one player in the country. And now you look at LSU for 2025, you've got the number one quarterback committed, the number one running back committed in Harlan Berry, and the number one receiver committed in Decorian Moore. So, I mean, all the narratives about Brian Kelly can't recruit this or that, but I'll tell you, man, they've had a plan. I think you can't underestimate the value of Frank Wilson as a recruiting coordinator and the work that guys like Joe Sloan have done to get this one done. So, look, you got a long way to go before signing day. I mean, you're a year away. You're 11 months away. You got to get to the December signing period next year. You got 11 months. And you better believe in 11 months there's going to be a lot of poachers along the way that are that are going to try to get these guys to flip. And so you're not done recruiting them. But man, what a start for LSU. You've already got 3 5-stars committed. Incidentally, Notre Dame is the number one ranked class right now. I'm looking at the 247 composite. LSU's number 2. But that's just sheer volume of commits. Notre Dame's got 12 commits. LSU's got 8. So you'll overtake them as you build your class. But Incredible to see what they've already been able to do. Bryce Underwood, DeCorian Moore, Harlem Berry, Keelan Moses. Remember J.D. LaFleur, John David LaFleur, who's in Sulphur. Brett Bordelon out of New Orleans, Jalen Bell out of Georgia, and then Teron Francis out of Carr in New Orleans. So exciting times ahead, man. You know, if Brian Kelly has said build through the high school ranks, supplement in the portal, you know, work on build through the high school ranks, development, retention are key, and supplement through the portal. That's the plan. And, you know, you're starting to see now, you know, going into year 3, you know, the second full off season going into year 3, a lot of that start to materialize. So that's fantastic. Bryce Underwood commits to LSU. We get to your questions here. Also, who dat Saints Falcons today? I am all over the Saints laying the 3 for one reason only. It's the angle that we've talked about for years with Mike Detillier. A team that loses its starting center fails to cover some 80% of the time the week they lose their starting center. And the Falcons will not have Drew Dahlman, their starting center today. So, and they may not have Taylor Heineke. So you may have a new center and be switching back to Desmond Ridder at quarterback. So I like the Saints today to win and to cover. And I don't bet Saints games, but I like the Saints today to win and cover. Kelly Gross, Darren Bone, good morning. Getting these 3 commits is huge. Hope they make it to campus. Yeah, 2026 to 2029 could be really fun. But remember, it'd be 2025, the 2025 season. John Voorhees, Blake DeVilliers. Do you think they'll get Baker? They will let Baker assemble his defensive staff, or is this a BK Woodward approach? Well, remember, you still have John Jancic and a Bob Diaco on staff. They were retained, so we don't know what their role is going to be. I'm going to continue to reiterate. I think it depends on what you do at OC. That's going to determine, you know, what. How many spots you have on both sides of the ball. A lot of people, I know, you know, they had, I'm still expecting, you know, Corey Raymond will be hired in the secondary and, excuse me, with the Bo Davis now off the table at defensive line. I know some of you had asked about this. Kevin Peoples is a name that you're starting to hear. He's the defensive line coach at Missouri. Was there with Blake Baker and he was a Broyles semifinalist this year, and is also excuse me. He's been at Tulane prior as well, and he's a guy that's kind of on the Pete Jenkins coaching tree as well. So Kevin Peoples, defensive line, is a name that I'm starting to hear. So I started to hear yesterday. So maybe that's a guy to keep an eye on. So Trivia Carter, good morning. Tim Benson, what's going on? MP, good morning. Wendell Norman, what's going on? Jacob Thompson, morning, Matt. Today is my fiance's birthday. Her name is Neely. Going to go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee to spend her birthday. Awesome, Jacob. Well, happy birthday to Neely. I hope you all have an awesome day celebrating and stay warm. I guess it's probably cold in Gatlinburg right now, but awesome. We were at Gatlinburg a couple summers ago. My parents' honeymoon to Gatlinburg. It was pretty cool to go there. Go like on that main street in Gatlinburg and you know, I asked them where they stayed and what they did. So Owen kind of was able to do a lot of that stuff. So I went and saw like the hotel where they stayed whenever when they went there. And pretty cool, man. Like that little downtown area in Gatlinburg is pretty cool. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Biggest, what's up? MP, David, Leon Williams. Today we take the South Coast Saints. I hope so, man. Got to win and get some help, but I do think the Saints win today. Barry Jocelyn, No Sweat Sports, Jonathan Martin, Sam Lemoyne, is no news with Corey bad? I wouldn't say so, Sam. They may be waiting, and I don't know this, but they may be waiting just to announce the staff in total. With signing day, if you remember. They had signing day, and then which was that Wednesday, and they waited to Friday to announce all the transfers. So the transfers were already done, but they waited to do them all together on that Friday. So it may be a thing where they're just waiting to assemble this staff and then announce it all together. I don't know that, to be clear. I don't know that. But it may be something like that where they're waiting to put the staff together and then make the announcements all together. Chet Buxton, Don Juan, the biggest get in history with Underwood. Great time to be a Tiger. Timothy Pruitt, Joseph Fallsgraf. Good morning, Matt, from PCB. Your awesome appreciation, the honest coverage. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Joseph. Thanks for watching, man. Bayou Bengals 73. Tigers on a roll. Even the basketball team won yesterday. Yeah, so last night, y'all, Erica had some friends over, and they were doing this, painting and wine, whatever, they're drinking wine and painting stuff, whatever. And so I went out, just sat in the outdoor kitchen, and I watched the NFL games, and but I put the basketball game on my phone. So I had the basketball game on my phone, and I was watching, just kind of casually watching the basketball game. And Tigers were down 2 at half, but man, second half, they rebounded like crazy, cranked up the defensive intensity, and blew the doors off of A&M. I mean, they ended up winning by 15. It was 68-53. Now, nobody's going to look at LSU scoring 68 points and go, man, incredible performance. I mean, 68 points is still, you were 40% from the floor. You were 6 of 24 from 3. I mean, you were 25%, 6 of 24 from 3. It ain't like LSU had a great offensive day, but they rebounded the basketball, man. They out-rebounded A&M 46-40, and A&M is one of the best rebounding teams in the country. It's a well-coached team, a team that earlier this year, A&M's had their struggles, but earlier this year, they were ranked as high as 12th in the country. So to go on the road in your conference opener and get that win is impressive. So that's one of the best wins of the Matt McMahon era so far. I will remind you, for what it's worth, you don't have to take this for anything. I don't mean it to be a positive or a negative. I'm just reminding you that LSU did win its SEC opener a year ago as well. They beat Arkansas at home, and Arkansas at the time was ranked 9th in the country. So that was a top 10 win at home when you beat Arkansas, and after that, you rattled off, 15 straight losses, whatever it was. 13 straight losses. So, and then you finally beat Vandy, and then lost 3 more, beat Georgia, then lost to Vandy. So you finished 2-16 in the conference last year, and you won your conference opener. So, for what it's worth, no, that ain't right. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You finished 2-16. The Georgia win was in the SC tournament. That's right. You finished 2-16. So anyway, point is, you were in a similar spot a year ago. You won your opener, impressive win, and then you went on a 13-game losing streak. So let's see. They had Vanderbilt next, so they should win that one. Should. Well, let's see. You can match your win total from a year ago. Wacky Chris, good morning. Hope everyone's saying Brian Kelly wouldn't recruit well as eating healthy, serving crow. Let's keep these kids committed and on campus 25. Absolutely, man. Like we talk about all the time with LSU, the advantage is the dirt. You get the best players in the country, in the state to stay home, and then you go cherry pick the ones you want to get nationally. And LSU's done a really good job of that. Certainly none bigger than Bryce Underwood. Strong side. Good morning. How's Drew and E-Rock? Good. E-Rock's sleeping. Drew's in there watching his iPad or playing with his Elmo or something like that. But we're doing good. Thank you, man. Stephen Oob, good morning. Jeb Whitley, Matt, is Greg Penn coming back? Sounds that way. Excited to see Baker work with Harold and with Weeks. If Greg's coming back, that's going to be a great core to this defense. I mean, remember, Blake Baker, has kind of gotten credit for the job with Damone Clark in 2021, where Damone Clark was all SEC, and quite honestly, my feeling is Damone Clark should have won the Butkus that year. He was the best linebacker in college football. But, you play on a bad team. Sometimes it's hard to get those accolades. But, yes, to see Penn and Weeks and those guys get to work with Blake Baker, I think it's reasonable to expect you're going to see see improvement from that group this year. Got some young guys too. Remember, we got Christian Braithwaite still there. You know, we'll see if they go at anybody via the portal. Shout out to Darren James. Jeb Whitley, sorry, read that one. Kyle DeVille, Leon Williams. If New Orleans wins today but doesn't make the playoffs, do we consider this a failure? Absolutely. I mean, Leon, this is the worst division in football. You've got, you went and spent $100 million on Derek Carr, where the rest of the quarterbacks in the division were Baker Mayfield, the combination of Desmond Ritter, Taylor Heineke, and rookie Bryce Young. You've had maybe the easiest schedule in the history of the organization. And on top of that, you caught so many breaks where you played Minnesota and didn't have to face Kirk Cousins. You got to face Josh Dobbs after he'd been there for like 10 days, and you lost. You played the Giants and you didn't have to face Danny Dimes. You got to face Tommy Cutlets. You know what I mean? Like, you caught some real breaks on this schedule. You played the Bears. You didn't play Justin Fields. You played, what was the kid's name? The rookie from the Division II school. You know what I mean? Like, you caught some real breaks. And then if you don't win this division on a year like this, yes, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, like, I and others have been so hard on this team. Like, this was the year where you should have done more. The expectation is and should be higher. MP, how hard do you think it'll be to keep him committed basically the rest of the year? I mean, if the kid wanted to go make a decision this early, there was a reason he wanted to make a decision this early. So, Brian Jones, good morning. What's your projected wide receiver lineup for next year outside of Lacey? Lacey, Hilton, Xavion Thomas, and then, of course, you'll have Aaron Anderson as well. Unless if one of those young guys can step up and win a job, a guy like Shelton Sampson. Lars Corville, all the recruiting services will downgrade the LSU 2025 commitments now. Y'all know I ain't lying. Gulf South, morning, Matt. So now 10 years later, how big of a bag did Fournette get coming to LSU? We know his brother was package deal, but I'm sure he got paid too. Everybody got paid. Of course, Leonard got paid. And I don't care. Some people liked it better when it was under the table. And everybody just does it above board. Ben, is Daniels pro ready? I think so. I mean, I think the monumental steps he took this year with, his progressions and watching film, his film study was really the biggest thing, which obviously helped him with accuracy on the deep ball and decision making. It was awesome, man. Yeah. And then his mobility, just a game changer. Yes, absolutely. Brian Jones, any possible names on DL coaches? Yeah, just told you. Kevin Peoples is who I'm hearing next from Missouri. Spent time at Tulane, a Pete Jenkins guy. See Blake Baker brings him down to Baton Rouge with him. Barry Jocelyn, Shane Big Fella, Cheryl Phillips. Bryce Underwood got sloaned. Bubba Tatum, good morning from Miami Beach. Okay. Michael Boudreaux, good morning. How long would it take Baker to name his? A lot of people are asking that about assistant coaches. Again, I don't know that Blaker has carte blanche to hire his staff, but he'll certainly have say. And it sure sounds like they're probably going to try to do them in a batch announcement. So just announce everybody at once. Stuart Angers, good morning. Austin Kidder, great weekend for LSU. Even the basketball team won. Brian Kelly can't recruit, narrative is dead. Jaden Daniels can't throw the ball downfield. As dead as Jaden Daniels can't throw the ball downfield. Got it. Dapo, let's see. I want to be excited about Underwood, but I can't. What's to stop him from entering the transfer portal a year after enrolling on campus? Well, listen, if you want to think of it that way, you can. But then why would you ever allow yourself to get excited about any player ever? You can't control that. You don't know what happens. And what if he shows up in 2025 and sits for a year behind fifth-year senior Garrett Nussmeier, and then is your starter in 2026. Or what if Colin Hurley becomes a Heisman Trophy winner? Who knows? But if that's your concern today, what's going to happen in 2-3 years? Man, live in the present, enjoy the moment. It's a huge thing for LSU. The cachet of having the number one player in the country commit, something you've only done twice ever now, is awesome. So don't worry about what might happen 2, 3, 4 years from now. Just enjoy the moment, live in it right now. Let's see. Connor O'Neill, it doesn't matter. He's following Brian Kelly to Michigan. Brian Kelly is not going to get the Michigan job for the millionth time. But if he's offered, I think he'll take it. I do. If he's offered, I think he'll take it. I'm not backtracking off of that. I just don't think there's any reason to believe he's going to be offered the job. John Marston, Matt, thoughts on LSU baseball 2024? Yeah, man, a perfect game came out with their preseason rankings this week. LSU preseason number 3. No Skeens or Cruz, but I've been told by scouts, coaches, that they think this LSU team is actually going to be more deeper, more talented than last year's team. You're not going to have Skeens or Cruz, but you'll have more talent across the board than even a year ago. Noah Lejeune, I typically refuse to get excited about recruits until they've actually signed, but they're killing it right now. Irfan Sayad, does the facts that you were so quick to replace the DC, but the OC hire is taking more time, indicate this will be an internal promotion? No, but Irfan, that doesn't mean it won't be, because you could have, if you were going to promote Sloan, you could have done that quickly. But I think to give you a parallel or a comp, that was my point with Ogeron when they hired him to be a head coach. There was no reason to rush him to the podium because he was always going to be there and he was always going to take the job. And it didn't matter if he was your 50th choice, he was going to take it. Like, if you offer this job to Joe Sloan, he's going to take it and he'd be pumped to take it. And I know he wants it. But that doesn't mean you can't, vet things. But the other part of it, which I know I've mentioned several times, is you have to see how your staff is going to be divvied up. Like, who's going to fit in what roles. So you've hired Blake Baker, so Blake's going to handle linebackers. Well, last year you had hired, if you bring in Kevin Peoples, for example. Kevin Peoples, again, hypothetical, works with, he's defensive line coach with especially in edge rushers. Well, John Jancic last year was moved onto the field to coach the Jack linebackers. So does that change? You know what I mean? Like, who's in what spot? How many roles do you have on both sides of the ball? I think all that kind of matters. So you have to piece it together. Oh, really? Thank you for coming to let me know your backpack was done. Hey, do you want to say good morning to Dad's show before you go run off again? Huh?
After Dad's show.
Well, after Daddy's show, then we're going to get dressed. We'll go for our Daddy's new car. Right, come see. Come see.
No.
And we'll come home and watch Saints play. And then after Saints, where are we going to go?
Mom.
To the mall.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What do you say to everybody?
Hi, Dad show.
Hi, Dad show. I love you. Look at your little hair sticking up right there. Hey, did you have a fun night last night?
Yes.
Who came to Drew's house? Who came to Drew's house last night? Danae. Who else?
Laura.
Laura. Do you remember who else?
What else?
You say it.
Michelle.
And who else?
Mom. Roro.
Roro. Yep. Okay.
No.
And what did Roro say? Where is it gonna be? You're crazy. Let's see. Bruno. Drew is more famous than that. That's fine with me, man. Larry DuPont, good morning. Nicholas Wayne, Richard, good morning. Clay Randolph, Rocky Killian. Hey, Dad, good morning. Pops is up there in Kansas visiting my sister, so tell everybody I said hello. Bruno Van Moor, Julio Mendez, Patrick Cason, Mikey Boombats, good morning. Bobby Muse, what's going on? Bob Poole, Michael Cook, Herb Smith, David Wallace. Hey, Rebecca Clare, good morning. Jim Arsenault, Tony Williams, Henry Burrell, Bubba Smith. What's going on, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's having a great day. Great start to your day. Barry, I read Baker got a raise to 1.1 million per year. Do we have to more than double his salary to get him, or was Woodward going for it? Shock and awe. Baker didn't get a raise to 1.1 million. Baker was making. Let me see. So Baker, the contract he agreed to just before their bowl game was a 3-year deal that would have paid him 1.9 in 2024, 2 million in 2025, 2.1 million in 2026. So he didn't get more than $1 million raise. The last year of his deal would have been 2.1, and as I understand it, Missouri was going to bump him even more than that to keep him. So the money was kind of negligible, as I understand it. LSU and Missouri were both offering comparable contracts. What did it for Blake were the three things that I mentioned. He's from Houston. His wife is from Mandeville. His wife played soccer at LSU. She's an all SEC soccer player, so there's sort of family ties to be closer here. The opportunity to win a national championship, which you can do at LSU. Missouri has never won a national championship. So, LSU's won 4, and 3 of them since 03 and played for 4. So I think that makes sense. Only Missouri people don't want to acknowledge that, but I think everyone else understands it. And then, you come to LSU and you fix this defense, you get credit for fixing the defense, and you're on the fast track to be a head coach. So, and you could say, well, he'd have been on a fast track to be a head coach at Missouri. Let's just be very honest, man. How often do you see the Missouri coordinator get a Power 5 head coaching job? That's just not as common as Dave Aranda going to Baylor or Joe Brady going to the Carolina Panthers. It's just excuse me. So come here and fix this defense, and you'll be a head coach really quickly. Mark Allen, just imagine if Oliva was making these hires. I'd rather not. I don't ever want to think about Joe Oliva or King Alexander having anything to do with my alma mater ever again. Ben, anyway, PC stays for next season rant. Oh, Pete Carmichael. I wouldn't rule it out completely. I think it's going to be hard to maintain status quo. I would certainly think that it sounds like they're going to retain Dennis Allen and change Pete Carmichael, and maybe that's the sacrificial lamb. Dylan, hey Matt, buddy, so excited about LSU football's future. That boy Ghost, is LSU going after the corner from NC State? Not that I've heard. That's not to say that they won't. But I think from the beginning of the portal cycle, I told y'all 3 names. It was to Cameron Richardson from Mississippi State, who ultimately picked Ole Miss. It was Jair Brown, who was from New Orleans, spent the last 2 years of high school in Cincinnati, and then committed to Ohio State. He's played there the past couple of years, and Jair Brown has committed to LSU. And then there was another kid from Kentucky whose name I can never remember, so my apologies. But those are the 3 I was told initially that they were going after, and they landed Brown. Taz, what's up with Winston restructure even though the year's void? He's a free agent. Yeah. So that just allows you to get closer to cap compliance. So those are all like the voidable years just allow you to spread money out over future years, even though the player's not on the roster. So essentially, the Saints are able to spread out like $17 million or so over over 4 years, even though Jameis won't be on the team. So it just allows you to lessen the cap hit, not have to eat it all at once. That's something they have very commonly done in New Orleans. ATX, switching gears, Matt, what the heck is up with Sting not making a Pro Bowl? I don't know. Had a good year. If he can stay healthy, he can be awesome. And Sauce Gardner got all the hype out of that class, but so much of that is Derek just staying healthy. Derek Clark, all this quarterback success is making me forget about players like Steven Rivers. Steven Rivers, Chris Garrett, Anthony Jennings. What a time. What a time. Travis Young, players in the Natty have no chance to enter the portal. I believe you have until 5 days after your bowl game. So, and the other thing to consider is you could always enter the portal in the spring. Brian Penn, good morning, Matt, from Springfield, Illinois. I hope the Saints can win today and get some help. Did you watch the LSU game last night? That was a good win. I did. Peter Fenner, good morning, y'all. Great win last night for the men's basketball on the road. Mike the Tiger, Jaden Daniels, Heisman. If the Saints win tonight, it'll be the worst winning team in NFL history. They don't play tonight, by the way. They play at noon, but yes. But I'm for it, man. I want to see the Saints win, and I want to see the Saints win, and I want to see Carolina beat Tampa, and I want the Saints to win the division and host a playoff game. That's what I'm pulling for. Deputy 86. Morning, Matt. I have this unrelenting feeling that Bryce will flip. LSU has horrible luck with quarterbacks like him. All right, let me ask you a question. When was the last, because LSU's had horrible luck with quarterbacks like him. When was the last time LSU had the number one player in the country and a number one quarterback in the country committed and he flipped? Because, you know, what I think of there, sir, when LSU's had the highest rated quarterbacks committed, Russell Shepard was one of them, committed early, was a leader of that class and played at LSU. Ryan Perrilloux, who flipped from Texas when Les became the coach, flipped from Texas to LSU. He was a 5-star quarterback. Walker Howard was a 5-star, committed, signed. I'm not really getting where you're saying LSU's had horrible luck with quarterbacks like him. I actually just named 4 or 5 players that are the highest rated quarterbacks LSU's ever signed, and they all stuck around. I actually can't remember getting a commitment from a highly rated quarterback who flipped. Maybe some of you do, but so I fundamentally disagree with your sentiment. Stop worrying about if Bryce Underwood's going to flip or if he's going to go into the portal after a year. Like, stop worrying about that. Be excited that your program is at a point where you can get the number one player in the country who's from Michigan to commit to your school in Louisiana. Come on. Hunter Keel. I think it was Gunnar Keel. Didn't have the chest. Was he ever committed to LSU? Was Keel committed and then flipped? Because I remember when Notre Dame and then went Cincinnati and was just not a very good player. But, yeah. He wasn't the number one player in the country. He wasn't a 5-star. Saints lose 28-3, stay in draft purgatory. Disagree. Saints win today, man. For those just joining, I'll say it again. Not a homer take. Mike, and I would. There's a betting angle that Mike Detillier told us for years, which is it's old Buddy Diliberto angle that teams that lose their starting center fail to cover 80% of the time on the week they lose their starting center. and Falcons starting center Drew Dahlman is out today, and they may be without Taylor Heineke. So you may be not only having a new center, but also quarterback. So I look for LSU's defensive front to have a great day today against that Falcons offensive line, and I think the Saints win this game and cover easily. Curtis Pullen, do you foresee McMahon staying with us much longer if this season is a major improvement? Yes. Remember, Matt McMahon signed a 7-year contract. That is unheard of in college basketball. The reason LSU gave Matt McMahon a 7-year contract is because nobody wanted this job. Will Wade had been fired. The NCAA had not yet handed down sanctions. You did not know if you were going to get hit with postseason bans, scholarship restrictions. When McMahon took the job, you literally lost within 2 weeks every single scholarship player you had. It's 0 scholarship players. You have got to be patient with Matt McMahon, understanding what he inherited. So I've said this before, I'm going to keep saying it. You have to take last year and just punt. Like, you can't even look at last year as year one. That was a total just get through it type situation. Look at this year more like a year one scenario for Matt McMahon. And then next year, whenever he's got a couple of recruiting classes behind him, he's got the roster back looking like you should. He's steadied on NIL. You've got the sanctions behind you. Then you can start to build toward your future. But it was evident, man. You watched the team last night. They had a plan. They move the ball. They rebound. They play hard. And Carlos Stewart's not even 100%. If Carlos Stewart were 100%, he's a game changer too. But Jordan Wright was good last night. Jalen Cook, as the point guard, as the maestro of your offense, it's just, you don't need to have a high basketball IQ to see the difference he makes on the floor. So, Jalen Reed is long and fun to watch. They got some pieces there. I don't think this is a tournament team or anything, but you could see the progress when you watch them. You just got to be patient. Chris P, Manny Troncoso, any rumors, info on OC for the Tigers? No. Everyone I talk to, nobody's talking about OC. Brian Turner, Hayden, what's going on? Need to start seeing defensive commitments like yesterday. Original Soul, Bryce Underwood is defensive commitments like yesterday, like whenever they got 5-star Dominant McKinley to flip from Texas A&M. When do you expect the coaching announcements? I don't know, Reaper 08. I don't know. To be very honest, I'm surprised the Corey Raymond thing hasn't been announced, which kind of tells me they're just waiting. Again, guess. I'm guessing. I do not know this. I'm speculating, okay? I am speculating. I'm speculating that they are waiting to hire them all, to announce them all at once. Connor O'Neill, Cam Johnson, Bryce Underwood, or LSU Tigers. Boy, what a time for football and baseball. That's so true, man. I don't think people really understand. You'll start to see it whenever the season starts. A guy like Cam Johnson, that's the case in point of a guy that should never show up on a college campus. We saw with Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz had no business playing college baseball, but he had his number coming out of high school. He wanted $6 million, and he didn't get it. So he's like, I'll go to school and play for 3 years and win a national championship and make even more when I get drafted. And he did just that. Guys like Cam Johnson. Cam is a top 10 pick. He's a lefty who throws 100. He's built like a defensive end. Guys like that don't show up on campus. They don't play college baseball. So you're going to see, when you see that guy, you're going to go, holy crap, how did that guy end up on a college campus? Well, he had his number, he stuck to it, and good for him. Jonathan, good morning, Matt. What coach do you think would leave first when offered an offensive coordinator position, Sloan or Hankton? So it's tricky. Sloan's already been a G5 offensive coordinator. So Sloan's next move is going to be Power 5 OC. I would assume his next move is Power 5 OC or G5 head coach. most likely Power 5 OC. Cortez has not been an OC before. So his next move would likely be, if he wanted to be a coordinator, his next move would likely be a G5 coordinator. So it's really, it's not who's more likely to leave, or who would leave. It's who's more likely to get that opportunity first. And probably Sloan, just because he's just the quarterback's coach of a guy that won the Heisman, you know. A little more high profile. Let's see. Brian, don't forget today's the 16th anniversary of the 07 National Championship team. Is today the 8th? It's the 8th, right? Or is it January 7th? Is today the 7th or the 8th? The 8th. What is today? Is today the 8th or is today the 7th? I don't know. Don Tecco, please let's stop with the Bo Davis LSU rumors going forward. If he truly wanted to be here, he would. Enough is enough. See, Don, here's the thing. You got to understand that they're not rumors. Bo Davis engaged in conversations, and LSU offered him to be the highest paid position coach in the country. LSU offered Bo Davis $1.5 million a year. That's not a rumor. Like, that happened, and he turned it down, and he's staying in Texas. Now, if what you're saying is, maybe this is just semantics, but if what you're saying is LSU needs to stop pursuing Bo Davis because clearly he doesn't want to be here, okay. I mean, I've said that from the beginning. Like, as from 2 weeks ago when we started talking about Bo Davis, I said, look, I hear the Bo Davis thing every year. I feel like we have the Bo Davis conversation every year, and I would love to see it happen. I know there's people internally that push for it, but I feel like we have this conversation every year and it never happens. So that's my feeling on it. And here we are again. So if that's what you're saying, then I agree. If what you're saying is the conversations this year with Bo Davis were not sincere, you're wrong. They were. They engaged in conversations. LSU was going to make him the highest paid position coach in the country at $1.5 million, and he turned it down. So, I mean, that's not a rumor. Like, that happened. Brian Russell, Matt, hope all is well with you. Hoping we can keep this class of 25 together for at least 2 years. Can't get too hype on these commitments because they can easily flip on signing day. Yeah, I'm just not going to worry about that, Brian. I mean, you're throwing a wet blanket on an awesome day. I know that's not what you're intending to do, but, like, if that's your feeling, then why get excited about anything associated with your team or your program, you know? Jared Guillory, Underwood even getting to campus is a long shot. I flatly disagree with that, because you commit the resources to recruit. The kid didn't have to commit now, chose to, and you've got NIL in place. And remember also, this is the other thing specifically with Underwood that a lot of you choose to ignore. That kid has made a handful of visits to LSU unofficially, meaning he paid for it. Official visits are when LSU can pay for the player and again, like a family member. Their whole family, him, his parents, his sister, have flown down here on their dime a handful of times to see LSU, to tour the campus, to meet the coaches. You don't do that if you're not serious, right? So, come on. Got it, Don. Okay. So we are saying the same thing. Brian Turner, it needs to be Sloan. It shouldn't even be a question. You see, so I am torn on this because I think Joe Sloan is a really good coach, and personally, I like Joe a lot. And I think he could do an awesome job. I do. I think he could do an awesome job. He is a rising star young coach, right? At 38 years old, who, was a position coach, South Florida, went with Holtz to Tech, where he's position coach, then elevated to co-OC, then OC in 2019 when he called plays, and then then obviously Kelly brought him here as quarterbacks coach, and you've seen the development there. And so you can see the trajectory for Joe. And I think he is going to be an OC. And he might be LSU's OC. And I think he's going to be a head coach. And I think he's going to be great. That's one of those in 10 or 15 years, you're going to look back and go, "God, you remember when Joe was LSU's quarterbacks coach?" You look back at Kirby Smart, who was LSU's, defense, safeties coach in 03 or whatever it was, or GA. It's like, God, that was Kirby. It's kind of one of those. I'm not saying he's going to be Kirby, but you know what I mean. Meaning you had a young coach win. But I think it's also fair because I know myself, and this was the opinion I had when LSU hired Jake Peetz. It's like, you're LSU, you don't need to take that risk. Hire someone who is an established play caller at the Power 5 level. And that was my opinion when they hired Jake Peetz. And that's generally my opinion when it comes to hiring coaches at LSU, especially coordinators and head coaches. There's no reason to take a risk when you're LSU, and you will have no shortage of candidates. But I'm conflicted because I think Joe would be awesome. I do. I think Joe Sloan would be awesome. And I love that he's been here already, knows the team, knows the rosters, recruited the players, knows the culture, knows the offense. You got the ride sidecar there with Denbrock the last 2 years. So I don't know that it's as cut and dry as saying it shouldn't even be a question. And I could totally get behind it if they promote Joe. I could also understand Brian Kelly saying, "I'm going to go hire someone that's got 10 years of play calling experience or more." You know what I mean? Let's see. Mike the Tiger, Jaden Daniels, Connor O'Neill. Today's a stark reminder of how stupid the NFL seeding works in the playoffs. Neither Tampa nor New Orleans is worthy of hosting a playoff game. I completely disagree with you, Connor. Winning your division has to matter. Otherwise, why do you have divisions? You've got to reward division champions. It's an outlier that you see something like this happen where a division champion has a losing record potentially, and hosts a game. But I fundamentally disagree with you. Winning your division has to matter for something. If it doesn't, then why even have divisions? If you want to scrap divisions, then I'm cool with that. Scrap divisions and just go with a round robin schedule and take the best record. I'm good with that. But if you're going to have divisions, then winning your division has to matter. All right, let's see. Kyle DeVille, Cliff Nelson. What's up, Uncle Scone and Drew? What's up, Cliff? Good morning, man. David Bass, Leslie Martin, Brian Turner. I can see Nussmeier performing well in 24, entering the draft. Underwood would start as a freshman if Garrett leaves. It would be interesting. Hypothetically, if Nussmeier leaves after 24, then your situation would be A.J. Swan as a transfer. You'd have, if nobody else leaves, you'd have A.J. Swan. You'd have in 25, redshirt sophomore Ricky Collins, redshirt freshman Colin Hurley, and true freshman Bryce Underwood. That would be your quarterback room, if all else holds, which to say it will, Randy Klein, bless you and your son. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that, man. Taz, after Cam retired, I would like to see the Saints go back to the 3-4 defense. Again, your thoughts, reinvent the Dome Patrol. Taz, first of all, to say reinvent the Dome Patrol is a little ambitious. I mean, it's the only time in the history of the NFL that all 4 starting linebackers in the Pro Bowl are from the same team, right? I think there's merit to the 3-4. I also think the challenge with a 3-4 in the traditional sense is you put the big giant space eater in the middle, but the way that the game is played now, so much of it is spread things out, stretch the field, sideline to sideline. So you need defensive linemen that can run. Is there really a spot for for the 350-pound space heater anymore. I don't know. Aviation skeptic. Stephen Picaro, Barry Jocelyn, Guy Brooks. Good morning, Matt. Let's go. Saints need to close out the season with a win. Gulf South, good thing the Saints haven't had a 3 p.m. game this season. Drew would be disappointed you couldn't go to the mall afterwards. You know what we would do, Gulf South? I think, because we did it last year, I think we would just go at like 11 or noon, whatever, when they opened. And then Randy Moss, College Football Hall of Fame, that's cool. And then, we would go early, I think is what we do. So anyway, y'all, please smash the like button if you would. 714 watching live. That's awesome, man. Appreciate y'all so much. Smash the like button if you're there on YouTube. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Scone page. Share the post. As always, shout out to Brock Hudco. If you need an orthopedics, go to Brock. You need a roof, give us a shout at Hudco, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. I feel like there was something else. I forgot. LA Chris, what's up? Saw you the other day off Jefferson. I wanted to speak, but got nervous. Off Jefferson. Where was I? Oh, you know what? I was having lunch at City Pork with somebody. That had to be it. Yeah, man. You should have said hello. Always say hello, man. Always say hello. We went to dinner. Eric and I went to dinner on Friday night with another couple, some friends of ours, and there was a gentleman and his wife having dinner, and afterwards she came up to our table and she was like, "Excuse me, are you Matt Scone?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." I said, my husband thought so. He's a big fan, but he didn't want to come talk to you. So she came up, and then he came up after, and then we were leaving, and I didn't hear it, but my buddy who was with us heard someone say, "We love your show," and anyway, I didn't hear it, so I walk outside, and he's like, "Somebody yelled, love the show." I was like, "Oh, no way." And so I walked back in, and it was a couple eating dinner, and I remember her name was Claudia, and so I went and shook her hand because she's the one who yelled it. And I was like, "Oh, it's so weird," because usually, it's always the guy who listens to the show, and the girl rolls their eyes. It's like, "Oh, you're the one I always have to listen to," but it was the same situation where he didn't want to say anything, and so she just shouted it out, and she doesn't listen to the show at all. But so yeah, no, always. I'm flattered by that. I'm always flattered when people come and say hello and they listen to the show, and I'm very, very appreciative. So definitely don't get nervous, Chris. Just come say hello. Tremaine, sounding great, Matt. Thank you, Tremaine. Appreciate it. Doing my best, man. Actually, I'm not. I'm not even conscious of it. But Big Easy 504. Let's see. Who's to say Brian Kelly will stay the length of his contract if he wins a national championship or two? A successful DC might be a candidate to move up. Maybe, but listen, I don't care who it is. I'll say the same thing I said when LSU hired Ed Ogeron, which is you don't have to take a risk. You don't take a chance like that. You hire a proven head coach at a place like LSU. There's no reason to take a risk. I mean, every coaching hire has risk. I get that. But when you have the resources, the history, all the things that LSU is going for it, you minimize the risk in hires because you can. Eric, morning Scone, curious how much we made on the Denbrock buyout. I'd have to check. I don't think. I looked this up, and it was a. So the new, here it is. So the new deal that Denbrock didn't have an opportunity to sign, this is from Football Scoop, would have had a $1.4 million buyout. Instead, with 1 year left on his standing contract, Denbrock's buyout was $375K. So Notre Dame had to pay LSU $375. That's according to Football Scoop. And Football Scoop's great, so I trust their information. All right. If you haven't done so yet, 696 watching live. Love that. Please smash that like button. Brett Luquette, what's up, Brett? Good morning. Lance Hill, getting here a little late. Shout out to men's basketball. Talked about them a little bit ago. Great win for Matt McMahon. They were down 2 at half. Just great defensive effort and rebounding in the second half, and they beat A&M on the road 68-53. Beat them by 15. David Tolson, wish our fan base would be more patient with Matt McMahon. Nice win against A&M. Yeah, man. I think listen, it's just, I understand you want to win, but I think also people have to understand, I'll continue to say it, what you inherited. What Matt McMahon inherited. Alan, has any college ever had the number one quarterback, running back, receiver committed before now? I don't know. That's a question for like Shea Dixon or one of those types of people, and I'll ask. But that sure is impressive, isn't it? Now, if you're just joining, we opened up the show talking about Bryce Underwood, 5-star, number one quarterback in the country from the state of Michigan, committed to LSU yesterday. So now for 2025, so he's a junior in high school. So for the class of 2025, LSU's got the number one quarterback, number one running back, and number one receiver all committed in this class, which is pretty incredible. Bearded Dragon, if Nuss does well, enters the draft. See Underwood starting, Collins entering the portal. I don't know that I want a true freshman starting. I don't know that there's a lot of great history of that. Even with 5-star number one players. Jameis won the Heisman as a redshirt freshman. I think Lamar Jackson was a true sophomore when he won the Heisman. Tebow won it as a sophomore. So you've had second-year players have great success, like at an elite national level. I don't know about true freshman quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, his freshman year at Oklahoma, ended up taking over for Spencer Rattler when Rattler was struggling. And then obviously went to USC and won the Heisman as a sophomore. But I know a lot of y'all ain't going to agree with this, but if you give me the option of 2 years of Nuss starting or Underwood starting as a freshman, I would take 2 years of Nuss. Always get... Oh, Trevor Lawrence. Thank you, Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. That's the comp. Thank you. Did they win it his freshman year, or was that the year they went and lost? I think that was the year they went and lost, right? And then they blew out Bama his sophomore year, right? No, he won it as a freshman. That's right. Lawrence won as a freshman, lost in 18, lost to LSU as a sophomore in 19, and then COVID year was 20. When they didn't make the championship game, Bama won it. That's right. They won it in 18 with him as a freshman. That's right. Because he was the first true freshman since he was quarterback at Oklahoma. Who am I thinking of? Who was the it was Jamel Holloway? Was that right? Am I thinking that was Jamel Holloway? I don't know why that name is sticking in my head. I feel like we had that conversation when Lawrence won it as a freshman, but it wasn't Frazier. Tommy Frazier was at Nebraska. Because Lawrence became the first true freshman to win a national championship. I believe it was since Jamel Holloway, who did it at Oklahoma, and they were running the wishbone. Anyway, whatever. All right. I'm gonna go to the bottom and come back up because I'm probably half an hour behind comments. Let's see. Jeb Whitley, thank you for the content you create for LSU Saints sports fans. Also, T-Bob, or also as T-Bob would say, propane. Propane instead of propane. Does BK use that coach's rating service? I don't know. But what I do know is that the budget for the athletic department is public, so you can go look at every line item and what they spend for whatever, and you can see if they do. Kenyon Hudson, Tua freshman. Yeah, but Tua wasn't the starter. Jalen Hurts was the starter. Tua replaced Jalen in the championship game, but I'm talking about as a starting quarterback. That's true, but again, we're talking about as the starting quarterback in a freshman season. Roderick, good morning, Matt. What time does Jimmy make his picks? Yeah, sorry, good point. So 11:20 is when the picks start. I'll give you what's already out there. So this is for Football Sunday. So Randy McKay, he split yesterday. So Randy had Baltimore +4, which didn't hit, but he also gave you Baltimore on the first half +1.5, which did hit. So split those. Randy McKay has the Giants +5, the Patriots -2.5. Brady Cannon yesterday had had a teaser bet. The first half of the teaser was, so it's an Indy Arizona teaser. The first half of the teaser was Indy, so it's a 6-point teaser. For those that don't know what that is, you basically take an alternate spread and you parlay it. So you give 6 points each to Arizona and Indy. So the Indy half of the teaser hit yesterday. Brady also gave Tennessee. He gave it when it was 5.5. I think it's down to 3.5. And Brady gave Atlanta +3. But I'm going against Brady Cannon on that one. I'm going with the Saints for the reasons I've already said. But 11:20 is when you'll get the picks from Andy Isco, Paul Nolan, and then Jimmy gives his picks to wrap up the show. Ryan Slayton, Matt, thanks for all you do. I coach college baseball. I'm in Montana this year. Last year, Maryland. You keep us Baton Rouge boys in the loop away from home. Go Tigers. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you for watching, man. Ronnie Gillen, Zachary Junda, good morning. Subjective Perspective Collective, H-Town, why you here? I'm a true dat for a like dude. Matt VG, Matt, I missed the beginning of today's show. I hope I didn't miss it. Who do you think are the front runners for the OC job? Look, man, I know everyone keeps asking about OC, and I understand it and respect it, but nobody is really talking about OC. The names that I gave initially whenever when Denbrock left were the first name that anybody mentioned was Joe Brady. And there are a lot of people, hear me out. There are a lot of people internally at LSU that would love to see that happen. And you got to keep in mind, everybody wants to have their say. Of course, it's Brian Kelly's program, but Scott Woodward's the OC who's very involved. Virg Jawsbury is very involved in the football program as well. And then you have boosters and board members, all who want to have their say, right? Hi. Now, I don't think Joe Brady is going to would even take the job, because my understanding is Joe Brady wants to be an NFL coach. After that show, we're going to get dressed and we'll go for a ride too. And then we'll come to Drew's house and we'll watch the Saints play. And what do we say when the Saints are playing?
Who's that?
Who dat? And then after the Saints play, what are we going to do? Go to the mall. Yep. And we'll walk around the mall. We'll ride the elevators at the mall. Yep. And then after elevators, then what do we do? Words, please. We'll ride around and pass by the Baton Rouge General. Good job. He loves to pass by the Baton Rouge General. And then we'll go to Drew's house, wear your backpack, watch football. Yep. And then we'll play. You go on trampoline. And we'll eat your dinner. And we'll get all clean. Take a bath with mommy tonight. Then you can go night-night. Sleep all through the night. When you wake up, it will be
Monday.
Monday, 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 Monday. And where you going to go on Monday? To the New St. Lillian. Good job. Good job. Huh? Did you say who dat?
Who that?
Who dat? Okay. All right. Now he going again. Huh?
Not forget. Go to.
To where?
No.
Yeah. That's where we'll go.
And
And then we'll go to Drew's house.
okay.
He's got crawfish on his jammies. The little butt says trapdoor. So, again, Brady, his name was the first name that people blurted out to me, although I don't believe that. I think Joe Brady's staying in the NFL, especially with the success he's had at in Buffalo this year, taking over for Ken Dorsey. Sloan, obviously, is the name we mentioned. I mentioned Tommy Rees. Brian Kelly tried to hire him to bring him here from Notre Dame, stayed at Notre Dame, then ultimately left a year later to join Nick Saban's staff at Alabama. Could you get Tommy Rees away from Alabama to come to LSU? Maybe see what the future is there at Alabama. There's all the talk and speculation on Nick, but it seems to happen every year. And then another one that I mentioned as well, which I don't know that I necessarily, I don't know how much. This feels like a little bit of a wild card long shot, but it's Chip Long. Chip Long is 40 years old, so this is another young coach. He's currently at Southern Miss, but Chip Long was with, he was the OC at Memphis. Brian Kelly hired him at Notre Dame. He was the OC there for 3 years, 17, 18, 19. Also coached tight ends. From Notre Dame, he went to Tennessee. Then he coached at Tulane, then Georgia Tech. He was the OC at Tulane, OC at Georgia Tech. Then went to Louisville, and now he just got hired this offseason as the offensive coordinator at Southern Miss. So he has bounced around a bunch for a dude that's only 40. He's got a ton of experience, but he's also Brian Kelly's OC in South Bend in 17, 18, 19. And the Chip Long thing, as I was told, was like Chip Long kind of was scapegoated in 2019. You know, guy from the South, knows the town of Louisiana, respects it, but again, Kelly fired him in 2019, kind of got scapegoated. But he's as I understand, he's a physical type. It was a physical offense, smart pass scheme guy, and a great recruiter as well. So just one to file away as a maybe. Those are some of the initial names I heard, was that 2 weeks ago whenever the Den Brock stuff broke, 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was when the Den Brock stuff broke. But I understand not everybody, everybody's interested, wants to know names for OC, and that just wasn't a super pressing matter. But then when they fired House, that became a sort of an urgent need because you identified a guy and you had to make it happen. So, Corey Peterson, man, love your channel. I'm from Thibodaux, but I live in Houston. You keep me informed on everything about my two favorite teams. Thank you so much. Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Corey. Appreciate you for watching, man. Swee, what's good? When did the 5-star running back and quarterback come to LSU? 2025. So, not this coming season, but the next. So you got a ways to go. Quarterback room is going to be stacked. Who do you think leaves? I mean, Justin, most likely, if we're just being candid, most likely Ricky Collins. If next year, Nuss is your starter, you brought in A.J. Swan to sort of leapfrog Ricky, well, then that pushes Ricky down for a second year. How much longer is he willing to sit and wait? I don't know. And then when you look at the talent you have coming behind with Colin Hurley and then Bryce Underwood, that's the one that would probably make the most sense. Stephen Jacobs, good morning. Stevie Wonder, it's fantastic. Stevie Wonder's watching. Ronnie Gillen, thinking about the 24 class, which hopefully plays over to the 25 class. The 24 class was about the most locked-in class LSU's ever had. Hopefully the 25 class is the same. Yeah, I mean, credit the coaching staff for taking commitments from guys who were committed. And it's true. I mean, literally everyone signed in the December signing period, and none of LSU's commitments took a visit anywhere during that contact period. So that's a good point. Mark Allen does Drew have a favorite store in the mall? Not really, Mark. He just wants to ride the elevators. So we go through the mall, and he knows where every elevator is in the mall. So we park by Macy's. We walk in. We go, upstairs. We go into the main part of the mall. We ride the elevator by the food court down. No, I'm sorry. We go in by Macy's. We go into, I think it's Penny's, and then take their elevator, which is tucked away in the back, down. Go by the food court, take that elevator up. Go into Dillard's, take theirs down, and go back toward Penny's and go, or the food court again, go up. Anyway, we take about 10 elevator rides. That's all he really wants to do is ride the elevator. And if I start walking past an elevator, it's he starts making that noise and pointing. It's like when you know you passed one. All right. Justin, how many years does Nuss have left? Let's see. Nuss came in 21 and redshirted. So 2, 3. So he's got 2 more years left. Boom. Let's see, Patrick McDade, when is the next time Brian Kelly will be in front of the press to answer questions about coaching changes? Probably not until the February signing period. If they announce the coaches before then, they could have a press conference to introduce the coaches, and that would be the time. Like, they should have a press conference to introduce Blake Baker, right? But we haven't gotten word that that's happening. And like I said, they may wait to do that all as one to announce the whole staff. They could do it that way. Donald A.B., let's see. H-Town Creole, Tommy. I have so many questions about coaching college baseball in Montana, Ryan Slayton. Kenyon Hudson, I think Hertz was, the freshman ones. John Marston, Matt, do you have any LSU autographs? From before I got in media, yes. But it's kind of a, it's sort of a sometimes stated but sometimes unstated rule in media, like you when you're working, I mean, you're part of the working media, you're in a working press box, like you can't cheer, you can't ask players, coaches for autographs. I mean, it's a professional work setting. So from before I was in the media, yes, but not since I've been working. Whiskey and wine is on my New Year's resolutions this year. You got to make it, man. Joseph, Matt, is Ryan Clark's son committed yet? Yes. So Jordan Clark is going to Notre Dame. He'll play his last year at Notre Dame. Ronnie Gillen, what's going on? Alan Black, good morning. Greg R. Keel didn't show up on campus, I remember. Joey Metke, good morning, Matt. For the USC game in Vegas, y'all doing shows in Vegas? We are, Joey, still working on logistics of where. There are several options, and we're trying to nail that down sooner than later, because as I understand it, flights are already getting hard to come by. And I mean, that's Labor Day weekend, and a lot of people are going to be going to Vegas for that. So, but yes, we are planning to do shows Friday in Vegas, probably Saturday in Vegas. The game is Sunday. Travel home is maybe tricky. I don't even know as I understand, I don't even know if we can get out on Monday, on Labor Day. So we may not even be heading home until Tuesday, but we'll see. But yes, we will be doing shows, so stay tuned for that. ML Fody, what's going on? Should Saints take a chance on Brady as a head coach? No. How about Pete Carmichael? No. I'm assuming you mean for LSU OC. No. Cheryl, I hear Saban is losing his mojo, according to a lot of recruits and their people. I find that hard to believe that he'd lose his mojo. But, I mean, everyone does say that Nick doesn't like the portal. He doesn't like NIL, all that sort of stuff. So, does he walk away? Maybe. You about that life, Matt? All comes down to today for the Saints. You ready for this? Absolutely. I think the Saints win. I'm just wondering if they get help from Carolina. Greg Lehman, how has he bounced around that much in 4 years? I'm talking about Chip Long. That's a great question. Sometimes a lot of it has to do with the staff that you're on, right? Are you taking jobs where there's staff turnover, and then are you taking better jobs after that? But there's the time to do it is when you're in your 30s and you can move and be, upwardly mobile at times. Let's see. What year did Heupel go to Tennessee? Yeah, so that's okay. So there you go. So Chip Long was at Tennessee. So he left Notre Dame after the 19th season, went to Tennessee, and the staff got fired after 20, and then Heupel came in. So then he went to Tulane and was there as the offensive coordinator for a year, and then got hired at Georgia Tech, and then the Tech staff got fired, right? And so then he went to Louisville as a quality control assistant for this season and just got hired back as the OC at Southern Miss. So sometimes you go somewhere where staff gets fired. Sometimes you get a better job. We got to get Bussy. Sounds like they got a good shot for that. If the Saints make the playoffs, could there be a Scone sighting? I don't know, because I'm not predicting them to make the playoffs. I am predicting the Saints to win and cover today, so maybe we could Scone the win and cover today when it happens, but not for the playoffs, because I don't think they're making the playoffs, because I don't think Carolina's beating Tampa. I'm going to sit here and hope and pray like everybody else. I'm going to be the biggest Carolina Panther fan in the world today, but I'm not counting on that. Greg Lehman, any word on Jacoby Matthews? Well, A&M put out a graphic with Jacoby Matthews on it, so that was sort of, I think, an indicator that he's staying there in College Station. Anyone left to sign besides McKinley? They're still in on Terry Bussey, so it's another 5-star who'd been committed to A&M, 5-star athlete. So they still got work to do. Right. EJN, when would Underwood actually sign versus commit? December of 2024. So 11 months from now. Southern Extreme, good morning. Edward O, good morning. Matt, are there any good D linemen at Mizzou that Baker could bring with him? I don't know. But that becomes an even more intriguing question if a few things happen. Number one, with Bo Davis staying at Texas, for those just joining who didn't hear it earlier, Kevin Peoples is the name that you're starting to hear now for defensive line coach. So, Peoples is he was a Broyles semifinalist this year, and uh, and is also a Pete Jenkins guy. I've said that a few times here today, but for those who maybe missed it earlier. So that's one thing to consider. The other is what happens with LSU's current defensive lineman. I was told this week that the expectation is Jacobian Guillory returns. Mason Smith, I was told, is very conflicted. He's probably a guy that always thought he would be a three-year then to the NFL guy, and it hasn't worked out for him. You know, he missed his whole sophomore year, and this year was just not very productive. So he's weighing, do you just go pro and start an NFL career, hope you test really well at the combine and someone takes a shot on you in day 2? Or, you know, do you see your draft stock slip even further? Or do you come back, try to have an awesome year, become a first-round pick, and make $10 million bucks? So Mason's weighing that, and I don't know what he's going to do. And then the other thing that I will tell you is, and I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again, is that LSU, I know last week, was making a push after the staff changes to try to get Mekhi Wingo to stay. Remember, Wingo announced the day after the bowl game that he was going pro. So Tuesday, Wingo announced. Then Wednesday is when the firings happened. And I do know that LSU, that would have been Thursday, was making a pitch to Mekhi to reconsider and to come back. I have no idea if he will. I have no idea to be very clear. I have no idea if he will. But all that to say, if Mason Smith, Jacoby, and Guillory stay, and you get Mekhi Wingo to change his mind and to come back for another year, then you really don't need to bring in a defensive lineman. Because you got those three, you got Jalen Lee, you got Paris Shand, you're bringing in Dominic McKinley, you got Sean Washington coming in as well from the JUCO rank. So then you're good, right? So all that, there's still, I think, a lot of unknowns. Like, until you know what your current guys are going to do, it's hard to say definitively what your needs are going to be. Matt, has Drew seen the elevators at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta and the Marriott Marquis, beautiful open glass elevators? Yeah, I've been able to stay at both hotels, do shows at both hotels too. It is pretty cool. But he loves to go in there and push buttons on the elevators and ride them up and down. Like when we took Drew to the doctor the other day, most kids go to the doctor and they want, like, you know, candy or a sucker or something like that as a prize. Like, Drew just wants to go ride the elevators. So it's like, we'll tell him, okay, you know, open your mouth and sit still and whatever when the doctor's checking him and everything. And then ride the elevator. So he knows, like, he's got to behave, and then he gets to go ride the elevators. So it's the things that motivate our son. Gregory Gordy, timekeeper. I don't think Carolina sold on Bryce. I mean, with a year like this and watching what C.J. Stroud did, it's hard to be, right? Stephen Martin, good morning. Tim Gotro. Mizzou has a D-line recruit that dominated the All-Star game yesterday. Cool. D. Moore, please no Tommy Reese. Saints still have a path to the wild card. Yes, they do. So, Joseph, the path to the wild card is Saints win, Seahawks, Packers lose. So you would need, oh God, look at the snow in New York. But yes, so the Saints could win the division if they win and Tampa loses. The Saints could earn a wild card spot if the Saints win and Seattle and Green Bay both lose. Greg, that's sad. Hate to see Matthews never put on the purple and gold. Stevie Wonder, I understand there was some mutual interest with Bo Davis, but it's time to stop thinking it's ever going to happen. We talked about it earlier. I'm with you. It's why whenever we were talking about it earlier, I said, like, I'll believe it when I see it. I know they had the conversations, and I know LSU offered to make him the highest paid position coach in the country. They were going to pay him $1.5 million. He's making $1 million at Texas. He wanted $1.5 million. LSU agreed to it, and he still didn't take the job. So, something else I mentioned yesterday, and it was Bo Davis's son is a defensive lineman at Southeastern, and I heard some chatter that he was trying to get his son to maybe transfer to LSU, and maybe that was a hang up. I don't know, but I'm with you, man. Like, I feel like we have the Bo Davis conversation every year. Like, I mean, move on. Let's see. You about that life? I believe Brian Brzee has a breakout game. I think Kamara might play. Brzee, I think the interior of the Saints line could do really well. Again, Drew Dahlman's out for the Falcons, their starting center, which is a huge reason why I love the Saints today. We'll see about Kamara. I'd love to see him play, but bum ankle, hard to get out there. Go Tigers. Honestly, our D-line looked out of shape at times. Maybe our strength conditioning program needs a look. Let's see. I think he stays committed. Quarterbacks love Sloan. Nuss says that's why he didn't leave. MP, they looked more unmotivated than anything. Don't question strength and conditioning. Austin Kidder, Matt, there is a sports bar called Dick's Last Resort at Excalibur, close to the stadium, that focuses on adult humor. I'm familiar. Might be open to letting y'all host whiskey and wine in Vegas. Cliff, does Baker use Greg Penn on third downs? If he's smart. H-Town Creole, Jaden winning the Heisman will help get the best quarterback prospect signed with LSU. Not just Jaden, I mean, Burrow, Jaden, that's 2 and 4 years. Finish strong. Morning, Matt. It's a great time to be a Tiger. So much momentum in the program. I wonder how Colin Hurley's feeling about the Underwood commitment. I don't worry about Colin Hurley. Colin is as mature a high school prospect as I've ever covered and interacted with. He is LSU through and through, and he'll compete. We'll see. Did they already make the announcement? Someone said Kamara's out. I don't know if they already posted the inactives for today. Who else? Let's see. Oh, here you go. Kamara's out. Dag nabbit. Hang on. Here it is. All right. Saints inactives. Hayner, Kirkwood, Lonnie Johnson, Landon Young, Kamara, Monty Rice, Kyle Phillips. So Kendre Miller is available. Foskey, and then that would also mean Peyton Turner would be available today as well. Yeah, Trey Guy said, Matt, see, it's the Bo Davis thing again. When will LSU learn he doesn't have an interest in LSU? It's not that there isn't an interest. Like, you don't even have a conversation if there's not interest. But sometimes circumstances have to be right to make a coaching move happen. Not only is it mutual interest, but it's timing, it's money, it's maybe his son. There's a lot of things involved in it that go into it. And it just doesn't always work. But I'm with you. I'm with you in the sense that, like, I hear the Bo Davis stuff every year. And it never happens. I'm with you. I get it. It's literally the thing I said whenever this Bo Davis stuff started again. I was like, believe when I see it. But there's people here who played with Bo, coached with Bo, know Bo. Of course, he played at LSU, and they go knock on his door and try to get him to come home. And I get it, and maybe eventually you're able to make that happen. But I understand the skepticism. Tell us more about the Peoples guy. So, Kevin Peoples, he coached at Tulane, so he's got ties to Louisiana. He's been around the SEC. He's coached for a long time, 30 years. He's got NFL experience as well. He was at Indiana, at Arkansas State. So he's been in the Sun Belt. He was at Arkansas under Petrino, like the 10, 11, 12 in there. So anyway, he's bounced around a bunch. Georgia State, or Georgia Southern rather. He's bounced around a bunch. Got SEC experience. He's known for coaching defensive line and edge players. He's a Pete Jenkins guy. So I mean, it would be a really, really solid hire. A guy who knows defensive line, can coach defensive line. Blown coverage. Kendra Miller is a bust. Kendra Miller's been hurt all year, bro. Give it a break. Tate Granger, DePayton Turner. DePayton draft Turner to sabotage the Saints knowing he wouldn't be back. No, come on. Gulf South, AK only needed 40 yards to join a list of like 7 Hall of Famers for 1,200 all-purpose yards, I believe, in his first 7 seasons. That's a bummer. If Bo Davis wanted to be here, it would have been a long time ago. D. Moore, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, he was here. He was here under Nick. And then the first year of Les, he was here 2, 3, 4, 5. So he has been here before. And he played here. So. Not sure it's been discussed. Did Sean Washington touch the field at Georgia? I remember excitement around him from LSU before he committed to Georgia. I think he redshirted that year, got on the field, but maybe didn't play the full 4 games. So didn't play much, and then went JUCO. I think the feeling on him is that he's not necessarily going to be a starter this year, but more of a rotational guy on the defensive line. Wow, Kamara and Lattimore have been here 7 years. Time flies. I know. 17 draft. God, that was a great draft. But it's still really, really tough to stomach letting Trey Hendrickson go. It's another thing that I just keep looking back at this organization going, we know Peyton Breeze were a massive part of it, but, I think we thought, Loomis as an architect and all that sort of stuff, helping build the roster and stuff was, listen to Mickey Loomis talk now, and I'm wondering, like, were you ever a part of this? I mean, the drafts were atrocious until they brought Jeff Ireland back. I mean, you really had 2 draft classes. You had that first draft class in 2006, and then you had the 2017 draft class. And then your inability to evaluate who you keep. I mean, how in the world did you let Trey Hendrickson get away? I mean, until yesterday, that dude was tied with TJ Watt for the sack lead in the NFL. You had him as a 3rd-round pick, and you let him walk out the door. Anyway. Brian Champagne said, what about Chevis Jackson to coach the secondary? I'm not opposed to that. I think Chevis is a good young coach. He's going to do really well. I think the Court Raymond thing is done and it's been done. Kirk Taylor, what up? Blake Novak. David Tolson. Already have reservations for the LSU USC game. Looking forward to it. Quentin Breakbill, good morning. All right, y'all, I think we're just about done. Barry Day, good morning. Jeremy Kling, Kelly Presley, David Tolson. Appreciate y'all for being here. Smash that like button if you would on YouTube. Subscribe up to the channel if you're new. As always, shout out to Brock and Hudco. If you need an orthopedist, go to Brock. You need a roof, give us a shout at Hudco, HudcoRoofing.com. Commercial, residential, would love it. Listen, you just click the link. Click the link that's pinned, and just fill out the form on the homepage. Someone will be in touch with you. We'd love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection, commercial or residential. Got a commercial building, we can help you out there as well. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. All right. Deshaun Green, good morning, Matt. What betting handicapping podcast you're always talking about? So that's on YouTube, Sports Better's Paradise, Jimmy Ott. And they has handicappers that come on and give their plays. And then remember, Jimmy's Football Sunday show starts. It's on right now, but at 11:20 is when they start with the picks. So you'll hear Andy Isco give 2 plays. You'll hear Paul Nolan give 2 plays. They'll play recordings from Randy McKay, Brady Cannon, but I've already given you those. Randy has the Giants +5, the Patriots -2.5. Brady today is on Tennessee. He gave it at +5.5, but it's down to 3.5. And then he's on Atlanta, but I disagree with him on Atlanta. I'm going with the Saints today because of the Mike D betting angle about the starting center being out. So, and then you'll get the rest of the plays, and Jimmy will give his 5-pack. So, Jimmy needs to get on YouTube. I know. Trying to teach old dogs new tricks, man. Talking to him and Handy about that for too long, and they're just not comfortable setting up cameras and equipment at all, and I can't allocate the resources to have a tech on site with them every single day. So I know. Anyway, okay, let's go. Let's get out of here. Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Who dat? Saints, Falcons. I picked the Saints. I think I picked the Saints 26-13 or 23-16, something like that. I think it's a great day for the Saints defensive line today. Falcons are a really good running team, but I think without your starting center and potentially making another change at quarterback, I think things shift to the Saints' favor today. Desperation, you got to win and get help to make the playoffs. So I think it's a really good effort from the Saints today, and I think they go out and win and take care of business. So, who dat? Let's get a win today, and I hope we get some help. And the Saints are playing next week at home. So, in the meantime, y'all have a great day. Get Drew dressed and get him for a little ride here before we watch the Saints play. So, see y'all. Peace.